What's up, everybody? Welcome to another YouTube Hangout. Super excited to be here. Happy Thursday. I have a special guest, Dave from the Misfit Entrepreneur. He's actually going to be interviewing me for his podcast, but I thought, hey, let's turn this into a video so you guys can learn about his channel as well. Dave, welcome aboard, man.
Hey, awesome to be here. Thanks for having me, and it's great to be on with all of you in the audience.
So this is going to be your show, but before getting into it, quickly, give us an update. What is Misfit Entrepreneur all about? How can people find you?
Sure. So Misfit Entrepreneur was created in September of last year in 2016. And the purpose behind it actually is interesting. It started out with me looking for a way to leave behind a lot of the lessons that I've learned from a lot of the amazing people that I've studied with and that I get to still work with today for my daughter. And so as we got into figuring out how to do that, do I do a blog or do I do like a video blog or an email address where I send her things that she can get when she's older, because she's 5 right now, it kind of came around to, hey, podcast is a really great thing. We can share it with everybody. You can take it on the go. You can do it while you work out or really anywhere. And so for me, that it was the right medium. So we turned it into a whole, huge podcast show, Misfit Entrepreneur, www.misfitentrepreneur.com. We interview the top entrepreneurs from all over the world every single week. And it's been amazing. It's been an amazing ride. We're now over in 50 countries listened to every week, and we haven't even hit a year yet, and it just continues to grow. So and that's just a testament to Misfit Nation and all that we're doing out there. So that's a little bit about the show.
Misfit Nation. I love it. I love it. Cool. Well, it's your show, man. You lead us off. Tell me where you want to go. Let's get into it.
Excellent. So the first question I have for you before we get started is, are you ready to unleash your inner misfit?
Let's do it.
All right, man. So here we go. I want to start off, though. I know a lot of people listening to this know you and know about you, but a lot of the people that are going to be listening to the podcast, seeing this afterwards, don't. So tell us your story. Tell us a little bit about how you got to where you're at.
Sure. So I'll go quickly through it. And if you want to go deeper on something, just let me know. My name is Carmichael. I believe in entrepreneurs. When I first started, I had a bunch of entrepreneurial tendencies growing up. My very first venture was when I was 5, and I sold some artwork to my next door neighbor and earned my first, 5 or 10 cents, and had a whole bunch of little kind of mini operations selling baseball cards, lemonade stands, and all that kind of stuff. My first real opportunity, though, came when I was in university. Up until that point, I thought I was going to be a banker. I didn't have entrepreneurs in my family. And so that power of association and the environment that you're in really, really matters. And so I thought I was going to be a banker. And I connected with 2 people in university, and they had a company, and I joined as an owner in the business. And that was the hardest decision I ever had to make in my life, turning down the banking jobs that I thought I wanted, 80 to 100K, first year salary, travel around the world kind of stuff, like the dream job, and turning that down to make $300 a month at a startup. But I made that decision, and we sucked at the start and failed. And it was the lowest point of my life in terms of self-worth and feeling like I'm putting everything I have into something and it's not working. And found a different way to stand, started modeling success, turned it around, built it up. In a couple of years, we got acquired. I went into the venture capital business, started helping raise $500,000 to $15 million for companies to grow. And in that process, I also felt like I wanted to get back and help out other entrepreneurs, because my journey was so hard. And I wasn't seeing, at least at that time, content around the struggle of entrepreneurship, only you look at the success that this guy had. And I thought it was going to be way easier than it actually was. And so I started with my website. And then I think I'm more well known now for my YouTube channel. We have 700,000+ subscribers who consume the content on a regular basis. And I believe entrepreneurs will solve all the major problems of the world. And so I want to do my part to try to help, just like you are, helping entrepreneurs overcome their limiting beliefs, push through their pain, and create businesses that they can be proud of and have an impact with.
That's excellent. And I want to start off actually with that. I want to dig deeper into that because I want to talk about this struggle. I'm going to do this interview in 3 parts today. We're going to talk about the entrepreneurship itself. Then I do want you to share some of the hacks and the secrets you've learned to be a successful social entrepreneur on YouTube and other channels. And then at the end, I'm going to take the back half, and I want you actually to take us through your system for your one word, which we'll get to here in a little bit. So starting off with entrepreneurialism, talk to us about that struggle. So you said you hit the low point, where and I've read, your story around it, and you were literally a day from quitting, right? And you actually, I think you did quit, but then you went back in. Talk about getting through that struggle, because I think that's something that every entrepreneur goes through at some point. They question themselves, they have that self-doubt, they have that, that time that they have to get through. And when they get through and break through it, they really become, that much more invincible. But that's a very hard thing where a lot of entrepreneurs don't get through. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't think enough people talk about. I think every entrepreneur at some point thinks about quitting, probably multiple times. I was just putting in a lot of work and not getting results. I could understand, like if I was slacking, if I'm not putting a lot of work, you can't expect to get great results. But up until that point, anything I applied myself to, school, athletics, anything, if I put more work in, I would get better results. And here I was putting work in every single day, like every opening hour that I had, I would be putting into my business, and I just wasn't getting results. We weren't making money. And I think you can only deal with that for so long before you just feel worthless. And I felt worthless. And I think what also contributed to the impact on me was I was too embarrassed to share it with my friends. I was too ashamed. I turned down these high-paying jobs that they all wanted to live the entrepreneur lifestyle, and I couldn't afford to go out for pizza with them. I had to pick one thing a month that I could go to, a birthday party or drinks, because that $20 meant a lot.
Yeah.
And I was too embarrassed to admit that my company was not doing well. And so I just retreated inwards instead of, I'm sure nobody would have really razzed me or really given me a hard time. And I could have probably used that support system, but because of my own ego, I guess, I didn't share. And I felt like a worthless human being. And I told my business partner one day over the phone, because we were kind of trying to figure out, where do we go next? How do we build this up? And I just said, you know what? I quit. Like I need to feel like I'm doing something valuable, and my time is being invested, properly. Just, I want to feel like I'm a good human being again. And I remember I hung up the phone, and I just cried, and stuff was coming out of my nose and my eyes, and just hearing myself say that I quit just felt wrong. Just felt I could deal with it failing, but I couldn't deal with me just abandoning it. And so that actually became the turning point. I woke up the next day, and I just decided, I'm not going to quit. I can't quit on this. I just have to find a different way to stand. And somebody else has figured this out already. Somebody else must have figured this out. I'm selling biotech software, so that's maybe super specific, but other people have figured out the software game. Like, maybe I don't have to come up with every genius idea myself. And that's where Bill Gates saved my business. I looked at Bill Gates. I've never met him, but I looked at him and his success. I said, how did Bill Gates get started? That first million, not the however many millions he makes, per hour right now, but that first million, how did that happen? And I studied that success and started applying it to my business. And that was my new plan going forward. And I went to my business partner's apartment, because that's where we worked. We worked from his apartment. I worked from his dining room table every day. And I just showed up, and I remember he opened the door, and I was nervous. Like, what's he going to say? I just quit on this guy the night before. And, to his credit, he didn't even say anything. He just opened the door, looked me in the eyes, and just let me back in. And we just went to work. Which was good, because that could have been a big blowout potentially. And that became the turning point where I modeled Bill Gates' strategy. Within a couple of weeks, I closed my first. So Microsoft is also partnerships. Find somebody who's already selling to your target market, partner up with them. I closed my first deal, which was $13,500. And that money just, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but at that point, when I'm making $300 a month, that was awesome. That was gold, man. And more importantly than that, I had a strategy I could replicate over and over and over and over again. So that got me out of the hole. And then, my mission now is trying to help entrepreneurs not have to get that deep, get that low, and try to, not quit on their businesses and do something important.
So tell me about that pivot, because, a lot of people could have just, like you said, been done, moved on, but you dug deep essentially, and you studied Bill Gates and the partner. What is it that you actually did that really changed your direction and your success? Was there any one thing that really made the difference, or was it just looking at it in a different way and applying some, different tactics?
Yeah, I mean, the two things that really helped me from an entrepreneur mindset was, one, not to live with regret. I had this personal incident happen in Paris earlier on that year. And after that, I decided I'm not going to live with regret. And that led me to actually join this company instead of taking the big job, because I thought, you know what, I'm not going to live with regret. I might get another job later, but I need to know if this will work. So that really helped. And I still try to live by that. If I'm going to potentially regret something, I have to go out and do it just to know, be okay with failure, but not being okay with not knowing. And then the idea of modeling success was the other mindset shift that just really helped me, that somebody has figured this out. It may not be exactly what I want to do, but success leaves clues. I don't have to come up with every single idea myself. Somebody has figured this out. And that mindset shift led me to study Bill Gates and other, starting in the software industry and then expanding beyond, that I can learn from these guys. I still have to twist it and make it my own and add some Evan sparkle to it. But that idea that I don't have to come up with every single idea myself really helped save my business. And even to this day, if I don't know what I'm doing, if I'm getting to a new industry and I want to try something new, it's the default is to, okay, who's already done this? Let's study the masters. If I want to start a podcast, okay, let's study Dave. Let's see what's happening at Misfit, and what can I learn to, shortcut my success. There's still a lot of work. There's still that mountain to climb, but you can get there a lot faster when you study the people who've come before you.
So two things I take from that. One, stand on the shoulder of giants, right? Stand on the shoulders of giants, see who's done it before, look for those that have been there. You don't have to do it exactly like them, but learn from them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to put your own spin on it. And then the second thing is everything that's gotten you to where you are at this point, and this is for everybody in the audience too, everything that's gotten you to where you are in life has happened for a reason. And I'm the same way. I have no regrets for anything. I would not be here. I would not have gotten to the places that I've had, built businesses on the Inc. 5000 list, been able to go adopt my daughter from China, and all the things that I've done if everything didn't happen exactly the way it has. One little change, a step in the wrong direction, could have changed the whole thing. So for me, I have no regrets that way. So I think those 2 points are so critical to anybody, whether it's, just whatever you do in life, not just for your success or if you're an entrepreneur, but your health, your wealth, your family, your relationships, all that stuff. So thanks for sharing those. I want to go to something. This is there's a lot of cliche questions, right? Like the top pieces of advice that you have for entrepreneurs, but I want you to kind of dig deep a little bit. I want you to, now that you've gone through that, now that you've learned all these things, you built a whole nother business, you built everything that you've done on YouTube, best-selling author, all that type of stuff. What are some of the key things you've learned since even that time about entrepreneurship that truly make a difference and that others can take and employ in their lives, their businesses, and help them to be more successful?
I think first off, you have to do something that you're passionate about, and it's probably the most cliche answer of all time. We've, on my YouTube channel, probably studied the most successful people, maybe of anybody on YouTube, maybe anybody on the internet. I don't know. It's a lot of content that we have, and we study famous, successful entrepreneurs, but also athletes and musicians and artists. And it's just the number one piece of advice that successful people give is you have to follow your passion. And I think too many entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs will, you mentioned the Inc. list. They'll open up an Inc. magazine and say, oh, here's the hottest companies. Oh, podcasting. Oh, wow, that's the hottest trend. Great, I'm going to start a podcast.
Right.
And they don't really have a deep passion for it. And then they get into it and they find out, oh, this is actually really hard. And then guys like you are going to crush them. Yeah. It's not even close. And so you have to do something that you're passionate about. And if you're starting a business just trying to make money, you're going to fail. Money's important. Money, some people have a negative view of money. Like money is evil and greedy. Like you got to make money. Money is super important in any business, but it's just not number one. There's got to be something above money for your business. Otherwise, you're in a lot of trouble. Number two, I would say is just start. a lot of people have this plan, and then you build up and you make it this huge, giant idea that is huge and scary, and you don't want to do anything until you take that perfect first step. There is no perfect there's no perfect first step. It's just you start.
There's no perfect 100 step either.
No, like you do something and it will probably suck, and then you do it again and you get better and you just start. And too many people sit on this idea that they have, and then it's 3 years later, and then they see somebody else making millions of dollars off of their idea, and you say, that was my idea. Like, well, no, it was their idea, and they did something about it, right? Like, you can't just complain that other people are making money off your idea. You got to go and take some kind of action. And so a lot of people get hung up on having the perfect plan and the perfect first step. And I made that mistake in my first company too, and it cost me over $40 million because I waited too long. And so, like, just start. Start. Take that idea and do something. As soon as you set a goal for yourself, take some kind of immediate action today. Don't wait till tomorrow, next week, today, and commit to somebody else, ideally, to move forward. So follow your passion, start. A third one I would say is just keep going. It's just a persistence. If you study any successful person, not even entrepreneur, they just kept at it. It's a constant, it's a daily grind, a daily struggle, daily hustle. You know, looking at your show, you know, if you just do one podcast, you're not going to be successful. You have to create consistent content. All the work around booking guests and branding and website and promotion and all that stuff is real. And so taking some kind of action every single day, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the startup stage, they take action and then they fall back down and they do nothing for a couple of days or a week or a couple, and then they're back up, and then it's like this crazy roller coaster ride where you'll get a lot more done if you take a little bit of time and do it every single day than to try to work in these, you know, one-day bursts and then nothing happens in between. You need to allow for momentum to build, and entrepreneurs often just give up too. They give up too soon. They give up too quickly. So you got to be persistent.
Yeah, a lot of times they give up right before success is like right over the hill. It's I love that. Such amazing wisdom in that. So the first thing, got to have a strong why. You know, my why for the show is my daughter. I would do this regardless if one person listened to it or not, because I'm leaving this for her. I just am fortunate that a lot of people get to listen and get to have amazing guests like you on. So, you know, I hear that, a strong why that backs your passion, right? So that's the first thing that you got to have in anything. And then, you know, as you talked about being able to go to the next step and take that action, it's 5% idea and 95% execution, right? And you don't have to do it all at once. I think people underestimate what they can do in a year and overestimate what they can do in a week. They think they have to do it all now. And maybe that's part of what our society's conditioned people to have now, because we live in that instant world. But yeah, like you said, a little step every single day. It's amazing where you can be in a year, you know? So I never thought I'd be talking to Evan Carmichael in 8 months of starting a podcast, right? You just never know. So that's, I think, a testament on both our sides to what can happen of just taking that action. So thanks for sharing that. It's great stuff.
Cool. What episode number is this, by the way, Dave?
This is episode 46.
40, my new lucky number, 46. I like it.
So
this is when it all started to turn. Episode 46.
That's right. That's right. Right now, like, shot up to like 10 million downloads. So, okay, I want to shift gears at this point. I want to talk about one more thing before we get into building a business on social, YouTube, and that sort of thing. And what I want to talk about is mindset. Okay. Because it's something that I think everybody struggles with, and we just alluded to some of it in our previous conversation. But the key that I've always seen for people that overcome, because you talked about keep going, bust through, that sort of thing, but it is your mindset. It really comes from the fact that, you know, you have to be able to persevere. You have to be able to come from a place where you can separate emotion from logic, and you can say to yourself, I will do it. I will do it one more day, whatever it takes, right? So talk to us a little bit about developing the mindset of a successful entrepreneur. What have you learned about that?
I think it comes from two places. I think it comes from one, the why, which is what you alluded to before. Like, you need to have a strong reason to get up and do. Like, you kind of have to be a little crazy to be an entrepreneur. There's so much pain and crap that you're going to go through to build a business that you have to be a little bit crazy to go out and do it. You have to have such a strong why that makes you want to go and deal with all of this stuff.
Yep.
Jerry Seinfeld calls it the torture that you can endure. It's like, it's torture. You know, there's a lot of great stuff that happens with being an entrepreneur. But if you're starting a business only to be your own boss and sit your own hours, you're just running away from a life that you don't like. And that's not success. You have to go and build a life that you want. And so you need to have the strong why. I think the second part is the daily habits and the environment to reinforce it, so that you stay consistent. Because I think that's a huge challenge for entrepreneurs, is they're not consistent enough. They listen to the Misfit Entrepreneur, they get all jacked up, and then for like the next 5 hours, they're working like crazy, and then they wake up the next day and it's gone. Like, I need a reset every single day. I don't, as much energy as I have now, I don't wake out of bed and say, yes, crushing today, it's gonna be awesome, right? Like, that's not how I start my days. So I think most people are like that, and we need a reset. The environment that you're in matters. The physical environment. So, you know, I have pictures on my wall that motivate me and inspire me every day. The top 10 videos that I'm probably most well known for, my YouTube channel, I created for myself. Like, I wanted to be around Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and Oprah Winfrey and have these people in my ecosystem on a consistent basis, because I didn't have friends who were pushing me to do more and go harder and achieve. And so I would really challenge people to say, look at your morning routine, look at what you're doing on a daily basis. Like, if Misfit Entrepreneur is a thing that gets you all fired up, start your day with it. Don't happen to wait for a Thursday at 5 o'clock and you tune it on and you're ready to go for the rest of the day. Like, every day, there's 46 episodes, right? Go through them all every day, start your day with it. Whether it's a podcast or a book or YouTube videos or whatever it is that makes you want to take action and makes you believe in that bold vision that you have, plan that into your morning routine, because your habits, your routine, the environment that you're in matters. It's what helps you stay consistent on daily action.
Yeah, this is going to sound weird, because a lot of people hear this for the first time. They're like, it doesn't make sense. Structure equals freedom. A lot of people don't realize that, but you're talking about routine and how important it is. It is so important. Having that structure, planning it out, making sure that you're consistently doing the same things and doing it in the way that you need to be successful, and that is repeatable every single day, is critical. What's your routine? What's your morning routine? What do you do?
So I'll wake up with my wife and we go for a walk with the dog together. I find it's great to get some natural light on me in the morning and kind of warm up and spend a little bit of time with the wife. We come in and we'll put on a song and just start dancing. It sounds a little weird, but just to shake it up. Like, music is one of the best ways to change your state. If you're kind of slow in the project, it's a Latin song, but it's not salsa. But we switch it up too. Like, right now we got a Pitbull song on, and we put the song on and we just dance just to get some action and momentum happening. Then we'll sit down and we'll put another song on and do 4 minutes of just gratitude. We think of 3 things we're grateful for. Like, close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and think of 3 things you're grateful for. And then I'll get into she'll go off to work. She's got a regular kind of 9 to 5. And I'll start reviewing my videos and trying to surround myself with entrepreneurs who are doing big things. And then I fall into the rest of my day. Every day is something different. Mm-hmm. So, like, Thursday is public facing day, and I'm doing interviews and podcasts and shows and all that stuff, and just chunking my time out so that I do different activities on different days that allow me to accomplish my big goals.
That's awesome. And, you know, something I hear through that too, and this is really, really common: gratitude. Tony Robbins does it every day. He has 3 things he's grateful for. Just so many entrepreneurs that I've been around, interviewed, that is a part of their daily routine. And it is amazing what it does for you if you start your day coming from a place of gratitude, how it changes your mindset, how it changes the way you approach your day and everything. So I would have guessed that you did that, but not surprised that you do at all. So really, really good stuff.
Yeah, I think you need both. I think to be balanced, you got to pull from opposite extremes. And so on the one side, I'm very grateful for everything, right? Like, I'm so grateful for my YouTube channel. I'm so grateful for the chance to talk to you today and share my views with Misfit Nation. You know, I'm just so grateful. If everything ended today, I'd be super grateful and happy with everything I've accomplished. And I've done nothing, and I suck, and I need to go out and make everything way better. I want to reach 1 billion entrepreneurs. And so I think you need to have the balance of both. I think entrepreneurs tend to be just so driven and more, which is great. It helps you accomplish things, but you're never happy with anything. And I think if you go the other side, you're only grateful, then you're not contributing as much as you can, right? If you don't have the desire to do more and push. And so I think having that mix is really important. And so I think entrepreneurs, I will tend to default to just the, let's go faster. Come on, guys, more. Let's get that growth. Let's hit that impact. Boom, boom. And so I need to force the gratitude part into my routine to make it happen, where others may need to force the ambition and drive, and I could do more with my talents. But I think you need to have both to be just kind of in balance as a human being.
No, that's a great point. So that anybody listening, take that away. It's critical to success in anything. So, all right. So now what I want to do is you've got well over 1 million followers on social media between YouTube and all of that, right? And so I want you to kind of take us through, and I want to get your best secrets, your best success hacks for how you created this following, this business, and what if I mean, everybody probably listening to this would say, gosh, I would love to do what Evan did. And nobody's going to do it exactly like Evan did it. Nobody's going to do exactly, this same thing or anything like that. But there are people out there right now that can. And so what can they do? What are the things, what are the principles of success to be able to do this and be able to accomplish and get to those same type of levels, building a business on YouTube and social media?
Yeah, that's great. I love that question. Let me get my thoughts together on that. First, I would say pick the platform that best suits your interests. So I would much rather be in front of a camera than I would be writing content, right? And so, being in front of the camera may terrify you. You have zero interest in being in front of the camera, but you love writing. Great. Like, go to LinkedIn or go to Medium. So clicking the platform that best suits you. And I would start with one, because I think too many entrepreneurs try to do everything and then they suck at everything and nobody cares about their content. And so pick the one, be great at it, and then you can expand to others with time. I think two, posting content that you care about. The top 10 rules series I made for myself. Selfish. I wish I didn't have to do it. It's a lot of work. I wish you did it, Dave. I just want to turn on my computer and consume the content. That would be amazing, right? But nobody did it. And I think instead of complaining, entrepreneurs, we solve problems. Like if there's something that you were complaining about, that's what we do. We stop complaining. Most of the world's complaining. We're going to find a solution for it. And so that's why I made the top 10 series. It was to solve a real need for myself, to be around successful entrepreneurs on a regular basis. I think creating content that you want your grandkids to watch. I love that you mentioned your daughter and why you started this, and she's going to listen to episodes as she grows up. And I mean, that's amazing. I don't think enough people have that kind of perspective. We don't have a lot of time on this planet to go out and make our impact. And I want my grandkids to watch and listen to this episode, right? Like Misfit Entrepreneur number 46. I was proud of that. Go check it out, right? And so that's always kind of flowing through me, is that the content I'm making has to matter. And I want to hang my hat on it and show my grandkids. And so if you see the content you're posting through that lens, are you just posting promotional crap? Are you just retweeting somebody else? Are you posting something that really, really means something to you? And then I think my last point would be around, we talked about modeling success. I think it's great actually to copy at the beginning. I think when you're like finding your feet and you don't know what to do, just copy other people at the start. Like there's a lot of people who copy my channel. There's people who probably copy your format and your questions and your style. Yeah. That's great. Like it helps get you started. If you try to be completely original from the beginning, often, just like I did, I failed because I had to come up with every new idea myself and I wasn't getting the momentum and traction. So copy at the start. But then at some point you have to find your own original voice. You got to take something that worked from me or from Dave or from Bill Gates and then tweak it to make it your own. Because you're never going to out Dave. Like if you're just a Misfit Entrepreneur Junior, you're not going to have a lot of success. Like you could take something that Dave's using and then now apply it to yourself. And so I'm never worried about the people who are copying exactly what I'm doing, because you're never going to out Evan. It's just not possible. And so copy that success from others and then find tweaks that you can make to your own content that makes it different.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And that works across anything, really. You can take those principles, you can apply them to really the other areas of any other business, right? So if you listen to that and you go back, just adapt that to whether you're in the software business, whether you're in the real estate business, whether you're in whatever business you're in, you can take that and use those principles across all of it. And they're tried and true, and they work. So I think that's great. And I think anybody that's starting out is, make sure that you do just make sure what you are putting out is the type of stuff. You don't do it because you think somebody, that's what they want or that's what an audience wants. Do it because that's what you're passionate about and that's what you believe in. Hashtag. And, really, really make sure that you can stand by that. And like Evan said, you want your grandkids to listen to it and all that sort of thing. So that's excellent. So, all right. So now we get into the meat of things, right? So you put out your one word and it has made such an impact on people. And so I want to talk about that process. So first, if you don't mind, tell the audience a little bit about the book, a little bit about what it's about, but then I want you to go through the process of how to do it. I think this is something that every single entrepreneur should take the time and do for themselves. With you to really boil yourself down in your business and what your mission is into the one word that really encompasses it. So, Evan, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about the book, talk about the inspiration for it, and start taking us through the program.
Yeah, so I believe most people and most entrepreneurs feel like they have a higher gear inside them. It's not that you are sucking right now and at the lowest lows, but at least for me, I was walking through life feeling like I've done a lot, but like I know there's a higher gear. Like I know I'm not at my potential. I don't even know where the ceiling is, but it's higher than where I'm at right now. How do I find that? How do I get there? How do I push through? And it comes down to self-awareness. And I think what's really important is I believe every human being has a single most important core value. When you understand what you value most, then you can design a life and a business around it that helps fulfill that. So for me, it's believe, and everything that I've loved, growing up has been around that kind of theme of believe. My parents taught me I'm Evan Castrilli Carmichael. I could do anything I want in the world. That's believe. My favorite movie is Seabiscuit. The songs I listen to, everything is kind of been about believe. And so I brought that to the rest of my life. I brought that to my business, and that's when I really started to take off. If I look at if you look at my YouTube channel, the best video that I had was 100,000 views. It took me a year to get there. And I'm so proud of the 100,000 views. It's such a milestone to hit that. It took me a year. It's like, that's good progress for 1 year. And then I made a video called Believe, and it hit 100,000 views in a month. I'm like, I think I'm on to something here. And like everything that I started touching in my business, I didn't go all in on it yet, but everything I started touching started to take off really quickly. And so then I went in all in, and believe is my one word. And some people think that's stupid, and that's great because we're not going to work well together. And some people love it. And it's a great way to attract talent, employees to my business, customers to my business. It's easy to share my vision for other people. You need word of mouth marketing happening for your company. It's an easy way to guide content. Like, does this make people feel believe or not? Like, hopefully I'm oozing believe in this interview. Like, it's the framework through which you see the world. And so the exercise to help find your one word is start by thinking about all the things that have made you happy in the past, all the moments that have made you come alive. Who was your favorite teacher growing up? Of the hundreds of teachers that you've had that most you forget their names. Who is the one that really stood out and why? What did you love about your parents and learn from them? What was your favorite movie? I mentioned Seabiscuit for me. I don't know if you've seen it. It's about this racehorse. This racehorse is too small and the jockey's too big and the owner's bankrupt and they all come together and somehow it works and they win all these races. It's a believe story. And so think about all of these things that have made you come alive and you're happy about in the past, and then try to identify why you like them. Why do you like that teacher? Why do you like that movie? And you'll start to see a common thread. Why are you listening to the Misfit Entrepreneur? There's a common thread. There's something that you get from this that makes you come a little bit more alive. And when you can identify that common thread, then you can design a life and a business around it going forward instead of randomly happening to come across people and resources in your life. Some people have a hard time going positive, and so it's easier to go negative. So if you can't think about it from a positive perspective, think about negative. Think about the people you can't stand being around. Thinking about the people who like you would never want to be in a room with again. Maybe it's a former boss, a former colleague. Maybe it's your people in your family. Just you can't stand them. And then why? Like, they may not be terrible human beings. They just have something. There's something about these people that you can't stand. And so for me, it's, the opposite of believe is really what I call the little man. It's the people who are trashing other people, the people who are putting other people down, the people saying you can't do this. Like, that just drives me nuts. I can't stand being around those kind of people. And so if you can think about the negative things that you hate, that's your anti-word. The opposite will be what your one word is. And then the last thing I would encourage people to think about is this is not a New Year's resolution. It's not this is my word for the week or the year. This is constant. Like, I will only care about believe more in 20 years than I do now. It's a forever thing. It's who you are. It's your DNA. It's your makeup. And so adding that perspective helps people kind of make the shift to figure out what it is that they stand for, build a business around it, communicate it to the world, and start bringing those people into your life. Customers, suppliers, investors, friends, relationships that support you to build that great life.
It's interesting. I picked up the book, and when I saw #believe on the front of it, my jaw almost dropped, because for a long time, if anybody knows me, has been around me or heard me speak, at different events or different things, one of the things that I am just absolutely passionate about, and that I think underlies everything, is especially like your mindset, is belief. So my one word, without even really knowing it, has always been belief, because your beliefs lead to your thoughts lead to your feelings, and your feelings lead to your actions, and your actions ultimately lead to your results. So if you take out the middle of that, it all starts with belief and it ends with your results. So for me, that's always been kind of a core of who I am, and what I teach others about and help them uncover in their lives. So it was amazing to see that, and I was like, shoot, I really wish I had this idea to put this book out, because it is such a great book, and it does. You just talked about kind of the first part of it, which is uncovering your word. But what I love about the book is you then put the model in place for how to go take that and use that to grow your business and to be more successful, and use that to help yourself and your business in so many different ways grow. Can you share some of the action items that they can do once they've got their one word?
Sure. So the book is divided into 3 sections: core, campaign, company. Core is about figuring out what your one word is, and that applies to every human being. If you are a human, you have a core value, it's helpful for you. The way you then bring it out, I'm not a relationship expert. I'm not, if it's not within the world of entrepreneurship, I'm not trying to give advice, but it can help you. What's interesting is even how we connected here. You saw the book, you saw #believe, and you wanted to reach out. We're doing this podcast now, right? Like, I attracted you to me by sharing what my value is, and now we're doing this podcast together, and it's great. I'm sure we'll do.
I might add to that I actually had met somebody that knew you, and they helped make that introduction too. So, it's amazing how that attracts things into people's lives, who we meet, and everybody, you just never know how things transpire.
Right. And because I use believe on there, that's what helped bring it in. If I didn't, and I just said your one word, maybe it's like, you pass by that book on the shelf and it's not as interesting. And so that's the entire point. You want to make yourself stand out, because for you, it brings you in. It says, great, I want to talk to Evan. Other people will hate it. Say, that's really stupid. It's great. Like, you want to stand out. You don't want to be in the middle where people can't tell the difference. If you are in any business, if you're doing a podcast, how many podcasts are there to listen to? Why am I going to pick yours over somebody else? If you're selling landscaping services, why am I going to buy yours over everyone? If I can't tell the difference between you and 5 other people, then I'm going to just pick based on price. And that's not the game that any entrepreneur wants to be in, to be the low cost provider. And so you want people to love you and gravitate towards you, or say that person is not for me. It's great. And so in the campaign section of the book, so we start with core, you find your one word. Campaign, it starts to talk about how do we make money using this? Because I want to prove an ROI. Entrepreneurs, we don't have a lot of time. We want to make sure everything we spend our time on is bringing in something that's going to help us grow our business. Yeah. And so think about the marketing campaign that you have. So your one word becomes the feeling that you want to convey in everything that you create. And so if my one word is believe, great. What's my logo look like? Like my logo is an orange airplane. Orange has significance. It's a paper airplane because I see entrepreneurs as building these jets that we want to take off and fly and go high in the sky, but we don't have the money. So we just build a paper airplane and we try to take off. If you look at my YouTube channel, the intro, there's a plane flying across the screen, but it sounds like a jet plane, and then it breaks the sound barrier, right? That, to me, that's what believe sounds like. So when I visit your website, when I visit your social media, when I look at your posts and your content, does it make me feel something? Great, you're promoting something. Do I feel your one word? If I apply it to, if I'm making a podcast, great. What's the introduction to my podcast? Like right away, do I feel that emotion, right? If you're going and selling landscaping services and somebody's opening the door, you're knocking on the door to sell it, do they immediately feel that pride and that passion and that emotion that you're trying to convey? I think we tend to get stuck too much in the tactics and the specific wording to say, and it's not so much about what you say, it's how you say it and the emotion behind it. And so it guides everything. And so the book helps you figure out, okay, how do we pick a logo? How do we pick a sound that matches? How do we pick the names for our business, right? How do we then move on to the next part is around building a company. How do we hire people? If I'm hiring a programmer for my website, I don't want just a programmer who knows how to do PHP and HTML. I want somebody who believes in believe, who loves the mission. And so a job ad, and I share the exact job ads that I'll put out, it'll lead all with the mission. We're about believe. I want a programmer who believes in entrepreneurs. Here's what believe means to me. Most people will look at that, or maybe not most people, a lot of people look at that and say, that's crazy. I'm just a programmer. This is too much, and they won't apply. Perfect. This is amazing. Please do not apply at my company. And some people will look at that and say, that's awesome. I want to apply to this company. I'm going to spend extra time on my application because that's the company that I want to work for. And so just like it is for your customers, it's also for the people who you work with, the team that you want to recruit. You want people who believe in the same thing. You know, if you had somebody who was doing your, editing for your podcast, you want somebody who believes in entrepreneurs too, who believes in the value that entrepreneurs bring to the world, who believes in creating a message that then kids and grandkids will still listen to and be proud of. If you get that kind of person, then you get their heart and soul and not just their mind. And I think that's really important as entrepreneurs.
Yep.
And so it kind of leads you through the tactics of bringing in more sales and then how to build an entire company, because really every single important decision that you make in your business and eventually your life goes through this one word core value and just helps you add clarity. Somebody described it as you're like driving a car through a rainstorm and your one word is like the windshield wipers, so you can see a little bit further ahead and anticipate.
No, I love it. And for those of you listening and watching, I'm sure a lot of you have watching have read it and probably multiple times. But for those of you listening, if you haven't, get this book. It should be part of, just your base for yourself as an entrepreneur. I actually put an article out recently where I cited the book in it, top 5 books for young entrepreneurs, because I think every entrepreneur needs to have this. This helps you find even your why and that sort of thing, the exercise that Evan takes you through. So, Evan, I've got one more question for you before we get to your Misfit 3. And that is, what is a question that I should have asked you that I haven't yet?
I always have a tough time with one of those. I always love answering the questions people have. Is there a question you are afraid to ask me?
A question I'm afraid to ask you. Let me think. Turning the tables on me.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I loved your questions. I've loved your questions. When I first launched the book, my publicist had me go to like all these different radio shows, and most of these people didn't even really care about, I would even say, their job. Like they're just doing their job, and they read the same like 5 questions over and over and over and over again. And I love digging into the guts a little bit more, and so I love going off stream, off tangent if there's something that just really makes sense, because I feel like the best questions come from a follow-up as opposed to the original.
Sure.
Right? Like you ask a question and somebody gives an answer, and then you're waiting for the follow-up. Like he just gave gold, let's dig deeper. And then the radio show host just goes off, okay, next question on our list is da, 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 da. So I know some of these questions are like your typical Misfit questions, and some we've just kind of jived off of and jammed with. And so is there one that is maybe scary or just interesting that you don't normally ask that might be different? Because I'm willing to go almost anywhere.
I'm thinking it because you're turning the tables on me. No, it's there's a lot we've covered. If anything, and this may not be the question, but surrounding a topic is, why are some entrepreneurs, and because you've studied a lot of entrepreneurs, why are some entrepreneurs able to bounce back from failures time and time again, where others just get crushed by them and can never move forward? I think that's something that, I've tried to figure that out, and I don't know if there's inherently one thing. Sometimes I think maybe it's just inside them. That's who they are. It's part of their being. But for those listening and those watching, that maybe are going through a tough time and are looking at the fact that, they may quit, they may call their partner and say, I'm out. What is it that X factor? What is that for people? You've studied so many. I'm interested.
Yeah, I think in terms of bounce back after failure, it's really what is your mindset towards failure and where does that come from? Because the people that we've studied don't take failure as some final thing that then they can never get up off the mat. I think most people will try something and fail, and then they say, well, I tried that, it didn't work, and so I'm done, and now I'm going to go back and do my job or do whatever else, this thing that I hate for the rest of my life. Where successful people in all fields will just see failure as feedback, as just another way to learn how not to do something. And I think that just comes from the environment that you're in and your upbringing growing up. And if you don't have that, like if your parents taught you that you have to be perfect, and if you're not perfect, then you suck. If that's your upbringing, then as soon as you fail, it's going to be painful. You're going to go off and do something else. You start to change your mindset and change your approach by now hanging around people and consuming resources that shift the mindset, that talk about failure as just being feedback. And so I learned the most from watching my videos. Like, it's selfish for me. A quick story. I do a monthly session with Stephen Kelly, who's the CEO of Sage. They do accounting software. They've got 15,000 employees, like billions in revenue. And I was driving with my dad. And he said, how do you see yourself as an equal to Stephen Kelly? Like, he's got all these employees and $1 billion revenue, and we're both answering questions from the audience as if we're equal. Not in a like judgmental way, just from an like my father wasn't saying you suck, why are you doing that? It's just genuine awe and curiosity. Where did I get that from? Because he's a super humble guy, and it comes from the videos. Like, I'm hanging around with Steve Jobs every day. Like, who are these other people, right? Like, because I hang around, I've never met them, but I hang around people at a high level watching their videos. Like, it just seeps into you, and then your mindset starts to shift and become like them. You become like the people who you hang out. And so paying very close attention to what's in your environment and who you're hanging around, that starts to shift your mindset. And so because all these people talk about failure as just feedback, that's my default too. And so I would say if there's something that you want to learn, or if there's something that you want to improve, it's not so much just the strategies on what to do, it's the belief and the mindset behind it. So if you want to be more confident, as an example, don't just read a book on the 7 ways to be more confident. Start hanging around confident people. Start watching people who are confident on video, even if they're talking about something totally irrelevant, or they have viewpoints that are opposite of your own, just to see how confident people are. And that's going to start to rub off. The more you spend time with them, the more confident you're going to become. And so the same thing with failure. I'd hang around and start watching videos or listen to podcasts of people who've had massive failure. You do that every day, you're going to start changing your perception of what failure means.
I want to be conscious of time, but I do want to go a little bit further on this, because what you're talking about, it really comes down to, and I'm sure you've studied this, if you studied the subconscious mind and the control that it has over people and yourself. Have you studied that before?
In my own way, like not in the scientific way, I guess?
Yeah, in your own way.
Sure.
Okay. Because for me, that's what you're really talking about. The underlying of this, you talked about like when you're treated poorly as a kid, or your upbringing wasn't as good as maybe it could have to put you in the right place. What most people don't realize is that we are a product of the conditioning we've had ever since we were a child. Nobody comes out of the womb and with their success, wealth path, everything already predetermined and set. We are taught how to act when it comes to, these things throughout our lives, and that's media, culture, religion, family, school, all that stuff teaches us and conditions us to be that way. And one of the biggest epiphanies that I had in my early 20s, and I was lucky enough to have a mentor through a book first and then in person to kind of teach me that I don't have to accept some or all of that if I don't want to, and then how to retrain myself to be what I want it to be and put the thoughts that I want to have in my head, was probably the biggest life-altering moment I've had to date, besides, meeting my wife and getting my daughter. So, for me, that's something that is a lot of people don't ever go through. Some people naturally do it, but there's a lot of people that don't ever have that realization that, the things you say, the things you do, the things you've been taught, you may not actually agree with. You just do it. You just act and react because the subconscious mind has basically put this reaction to this scenario when it comes up in your life. And if you can learn to stop that and change what that reaction is for yourself, you can change everything. So that for me is something that is just huge. So your thoughts on that?
I agree 100%. I think the first and hardest step is just the awareness of it.
Yep.
I think you just don't even notice. You just do it. You don't even think about whether it's right or wrong. As an example, one of the things that I have, and I think every major breakthrough that I've had in my business has come from a personal breakthrough that I had within myself, that I realized, oh, this doesn't actually have to be that way. I made a shift, and it changes in my business as well. So as an example, I used to be really afraid to go to meetings, to do seminars, to come on podcasts like this. Mm-hmm. I would always secretly hope that people would cancel on me. Secretly hope that like an hour before you would write to me and say, Evan, you know what? Like, we had some technical difficulties. We're not on for today. Be like, oh, that's okay, Dave. Don't worry about it. That's great. No problem. And I would commit to speaking at big events, like 3 months in advance or a year in advance. And it's so easy when it's that far ahead. But then kind of hoping that they were going to cancel on me. And I didn't even notice. I wasn't even paying attention. Just like the anxiety built up. And it was just, I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to provide value. I hate the idea of wasting time. I would hate the idea of coming on your show and not giving your audience the value. At the same time, it's the biggest high that I have. Like, I love being able to help entrepreneurs and spread the message. And I had this one moment, this kind of made the shift for me. I was going to meet this entrepreneur at a coffee shop, a local startup entrepreneur. And I was so nervous about it. Like, why am I so nervous? Like, she's just starting up. Like, there's tons of information I'm going to be able to give her. Why am I so nervous about it? And then we had a great meeting. I really helped her. She went home inspired with lots of ideas. And I remember sitting in the car after, like, that's nuts. Like, what's wrong with me that I was so scared and almost wanted to cancel this thing? And then it was so great for both of us. And then I kind of recognized, hey, this is a pattern for me. And the awareness clicked in.
Yep.
Once you find the awareness, then the challenge is finding it in the moment. Because what's going to happen is you'll notice it afterwards. You notice it the day later, Monday morning quarterback. And then you'll get it closer and closer. You notice it like 2 hours later, or you notice it an hour after. And then you get to that magical moment where you notice it in the moment. Like, I'm about to do this. I'm about to do the thing that I always do that always holds me back. It's about to happen right now. And then having the courage to say, I'm going to go left instead of right. I'm going to take the different path and see what happens. And once you do that, your world changes and you break through to another level. And then you'll find whatever next limiting belief you have. But it's super important. The awareness is just one of the biggest things. Is most of
catalyst to change. It absolutely is.
We do it subconsciously. We hold ourselves back subconsciously based off of everything you've talked about, our upbringing, all of that. And when you understand that you're holding yourself back, that's 80% of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to explore that with you, because it wasn't something I planned to get into today. So we got to go down the rabbit hole a little bit.
I love it.
Now it's time for your Misfit Three, though. The Misfit Three, these are the 3 things that you want the audience to take away, that they can take, they can put into action right now in their lives, use them to better themselves, their businesses, and just help them even break through to the next level. So, Evan, what are your Misfit 3?
I would say 1, expect to suck at the start. Whatever you're doing, expect to suck at the start. I think too many people have these, we know what looks good. We know what a good podcast sounds like and what a good video looks like, but we can't create it when you first do it. And then because we can't create it, we feel like we are failures, and then we stop. So expect to suck at the start. Just like when you learn French, or just like when you're trying to skateboard, you're going to fall. So expect to suck. Don't have these extremely high expectations of what you can produce at the beginning. I would say 2, the quantity leads to the quality. At the end of the day, the quality is what's going to bring in customers and business, and that's where your success is going to come from. But the quantity leads to it. Like, you suck, and then you keep practicing, and you keep practicing, and eventually you get better. I have 5,000 videos that I've recorded. 4,000 of them are public. 1,000 of them are not public. Like, I've recorded more videos that didn't make it public than most people ever record, period. It's like, you have to be prolific in what you're doing. That's how you get good. I sucked at YouTube at the start. Go watch my first video. It's still up. It's terrible compared to, like, the content is still good, but the delivery sucks. And so the quantity leads to the quality. You need both. And then 3, I would just say, make it more important. Stop putting stuff off. Like, your time is limited. If you're inspired by this, then do something today, and do something tomorrow, and do something the next day. We keep putting plans off and think we have a lot of time, but that time disappears really quickly. And so appreciate the time you have right now, and understand that today is important. You're going to lose today pretty quickly. So go out and make your work matter and meaningful.
Evan, that's a great Misfit Three. I know there's a lot of ways to find you, but if somebody's listening to this or just seeing this for the first time, where is the best place to find you? Where should people go?
So, I mean, if you're looking for the book, wherever you buy books, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, it's in all the major places. If you're looking to connect with me and the rest of my content, YouTube is my biggest home at the moment. There's lots of great content on there. And Twitter is probably number 2. I'm on all the places if you want to follow me on Snapchat, Instagram. But I'd say YouTube, number 1, is a good place to get introduced to the rest of my stuff.
Awesome. And one quick programming note, because I made the mistake in the beginning when Evan asked me what episode was this, I was thinking the episode that I'm on now, which is 46. Evan's episode will be number 56. So just make sure that you are number 56. I've been holding that in the back of my mind the whole time going, oh, crap, why'd I do that?
New lucky number is 56, guys. That's the episode.
The lucky number is 56. And if you like this episode when you hear it, and if you're watching it, give it a rating, give it a review, tell others about it. And Evan, I can't thank you so much for everything that you shared today, for coming on the show, spending some time with me, and just sharing all the wisdom and insight that you have. You are truly the epitome of a misfit entrepreneur.
I love it. And Dave, let me just thank you too for all the work you're doing, for the mission that you're on, for helping entrepreneurs, because I wish I had somebody like you to listen to when I was first getting started. It would have made a world of difference. So you're making an impact too, and I really respect and appreciate it.
Thank you.